We humans are at the top of the food chain. With advanced technologies and opposable thumbs, we've paved a long road to get here. However, we're still made of flesh and bone, and when it comes to the sheer strength of some animals, we don't stand a chance. Sometimes, in the blink of an eye, animals, especially wild ones, find an opportunity to attack, and it's all caught in terrifying videos. And that's exactly what you're going to see today. So, go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe below, and let's dive in. Between the coast of Africa and South America, right in the middle of the ocean, there's a small island called Ascension Island, famous for attracting daring fishermen. That's where Nat Davy, believe it or not, fought off two sharks that tried to attack him right after he caught a tuna while deep sea diving. Even with years of experience working as a commercial fisherman, it's still shocking to see how he used his bare hands to fend off the bull sharks charging at him. Davy was doing a type of underwater fishing using a spear instead of a traditional fishing rod. His tuna was still tangled in the line, thrashing around as the sharks closed in. When people watched the video, many asked why Davy didn't just let the tuna go and prioritize his own life, but in the heat of the moment, he couldn't think straight. He wanted to take his prize home, even if it meant defending himself against the ocean's top predators. And that's exactly what he managed to do. After calling for help, a boat came to rescue him. And now Davy has a wild story to tell his future grandkids about the time he fought off two massive sharks. If they don't believe him, no worries, he can just show them the video, which has already been seen by millions worldwide. During a safari trip, this girl left the car window wide open, carefree, despite being surrounded by wild animals. On these safaris, visitors are usually worried about lions or other predators, but they tend to let their guard down around herbivores, which can be just as dangerous as this video, captured by the driver, shows. While she was chatting, a zebra poked its head into the car, sniffing her hair. Maybe the zebra mistook her hair for some tasty straw because it went in for a bite, causing a huge commotion.
I have crumbs.
Luckily, the bite only grazed her shoulder. The zebra got spooked and ran off, but it left a reminder that while it may not have claws or sharp fangs like a ferocious cat, it's still a wild animal and should be taken seriously on safaris. In Las Vegas, a 400-pound lion attacked its own trainer in front of a terrified audience. The incident happened during a show at the famous MGM Resort. Yes, the same studio known for the roaring lion in its logo. The crowd, including a couple on their honeymoon, Drew and Titus Ellis, was there to watch the show when the lion lunged at the trainer. The man tried to defend himself. In a desperate move, grabbed the lion by its mane while another trainer rushed in to help. Even so, the lion continued chasing the first trainer, who struggled to escape. The video, recorded by Drew, went viral on social media with millions of views. She said she was horrified, thinking she was about to film a tragedy. The lion seemed so calm, but out of nowhere, it locked eyes on the trainer before attacking. Fortunately, the trainer escaped with only minor injuries. I don't even know how the other trainer found the courage to stay in the cage after all that happened. In the United States, police were called in after reports of a neighborhood being attacked by bees. One officer responded to check on the situation, but as soon as he got out of his car, he was brutally swarmed by the insects. Officer Gary Knabenbauer was caught on camera being attacked by the bees. He almost collapsed, but quickly got back up, trying to shield himself. Desperate, he ran back to his vehicle and, in a brave move, told his partner to drive off to avoid putting him at risk. Meanwhile, the driver radioed for backup.
Dizzying assault escalates. The volunteer officer collapses as he's stung dozens of times.
Several news teams were on the scene but kept their distance from the bees. Those brave enough to get closer did so from inside their cars with the windows firmly shut. Luckily, a beekeeper who was watching the news rushed to the neighborhood to help the officer and the community. It seems the bees had been living in a massive hive nearby, but something must have gone wrong that day to provoke their anger. The beekeeper had no choice but to spray them with a calming pesticide while the officer was taken to the hospital for treatment. In Florida, a man brought his pet monkey to a hardware store, never imagining the chaos that the primate would cause. The monkey, though it was locked in the truck and on a leash, managed to escape during a brief moment of distraction. It stormed into the hardware store and began attacking the staff. A customer caught the scene on video, showing the moment the monkey used its leash as a weapon to scare the workers. The store had automatic doors, which allowed the monkey to slip inside and wreak havoc. Fortunately, no one was seriously hurt, but the incident even made the news, leaving locals worried. In South Africa's Kruger National Park, the largest wildlife reserve in the country, visitors were stunned when they encountered several rhinos blocking the road. One of the animals, probably the herd leader, approached the vehicles in a threatening way to protect the others. Rhinos are extremely territorial and aggressive, and a headbutt or charge with their horn can easily result in a disaster for any humans who dare to challenge them. Because of this, the tourist had no choice but to back off and wait for the aggressive animals to move away from the road naturally. Eventually, one driver tried to seize the moment when the rhinos were further away and attempted to pass through. The plan worked, but was quite risky. The angriest rhino soon noticed the moving car and charged, kicking up dust everywhere as it attacked. Its horn missed the vehicle by inches. If the driver hadn't been quick enough, someone could have gotten hurt. During a safari in Africa, one of those where you can drive your own car, a camera woman had a close call when she was chased by a lion. The worst part? She left the window of her car completely open to film. Now that's playing with danger. The car slowly approached the lion, but the lion was already eyeing the vehicle. Luckily, instead of focusing on the open window, the lion's hunting instincts may have saved her life, as it attacked the back of the car, as if it were chasing a large animal. The sound of the lion's huge paws trying to grip the car is truly chilling. Soon after, another even more dangerous recording suggests that a lion might have tried to attack the car's side mirror as it was folded in. This time, not just one, two lions chased the moving car while the driver frantically accelerated to escape. In Mexico, near Guadalupe Island, a diving team was trying to attract sharks using a large chunk of meat tied to a rope floating in the middle of the ocean. Close to the bait, there were safety cages where divers could get near these terrifying sharks without the risk of getting bitten. But on this fateful day, something went horribly wrong. And believe it or not, the shark ended up inside the cage while a diver was still in there.
Oh my God.
The shark broke through one of the cage bars and ended up inside. Just watching how agitated it was, thrashing around like that, would be enough to knock out the poor diver inside. Eventually, the shark managed to escape, swimming out of the dive cage while everyone nearby watched in horror, wondering how the diver was doing. But what happened next was practically a miracle. The diver emerged, unharmed. He had managed to escape through the same hole the shark had created in the cage, which is why he wasn't injured. But the scare he went through, there are no words for it. In a small town, a bizarre phenomenon scared the residents so much that they ran for cover. It sounds like a joke, but an invasion of spiders made it look like it was raining arachnids. The incident occurred in Espírito Santo do Dourado, where locals recorded videos of this strange phenomenon. If you're afraid of spiders, you probably shouldn't even watch this terrifying footage because it'll leave you sleepless knowing something this creepy can happen. The event even made it to TV, with several news outlets showing the horrifying images. But don't worry, at least in larger cities, the chances of something like this happening are much lower. In rural areas, though, this phenomenon is almost common. But it's not actual spider rain. The spiders are hanging from webs that stretch through the air, giving the illusion that they're floating or falling from the sky. Knowing it's not literally raining spiders doesn't make it any less terrifying, though. Catherine Chappell, an American known for her work on the acclaimed show Game of Thrones, tragically lost her life while on a safari tour in South Africa due to a brutal lion attack. The 29-year-old, who traveled to do volunteer work, had no idea how her life would end so unexpectedly. The incident occurred in a park near Johannesburg. Catherine and the driver stopped their car near two lions. To make matters worse, they decided to open the windows to take photos. That's when the lioness struck. This photo, taken by another visitor in the car behind Catherine, shows the moments before the attack. Ben Govinder, the person who took the picture, said it all happened so fast. The lioness seemed extremely lazy, stretching as if she didn't have a care in the world, but out of nowhere, she stuck her head inside the car and attacked Catherine. When security arrived, there was nothing they could do. The lioness fled, her muzzle stained red, while Catherine was left to lose her life in a matter of seconds. The worst part is that the safari didn't even shut down after the incident. The lioness was transferred elsewhere, and no one was held responsible for the tragedy. During a visit to the zoo, a visitor captured the terrifying moment when a massive alligator tried to attack its own handler while being fed inside its enclosure. The handler tossed food into the alligator's pond, but the reptile was more interested in the human. Ignoring the chunk of meat, the enormous alligator lunged toward land, mouth open wide, aiming to bite the zoo worker. All of this happened while the worker was explaining the alligator's habits to the audience. A tree in the way might have saved the handler's life. As the alligator attacked, the audience gasped in horror, captivated by the suspense. Eventually, the handler managed to get the alligator to stretch out for a juicy piece of meat from his hand. Moments later, though, the alligator turned toward the handler who had been feeding him, ready to strike again. Fortunately, the man seemed very experienced in his job, using the protective barrier carefully to avoid becoming a victim of the hungry alligator. Still, it's crucial to be extremely cautious when dealing with these sharp-toothed animals. A small mistake could lead to a fatal accident right in front of everyone. In China, a family went on a trip to the Badaling Wildlife Park in Beijing, never imagining they'd return home with one less person. This happened due to a terrible mistake that resulted in a tiger attack. A security camera captured the tense moment. After an argument, a woman stepped out of the car, even though she'd heard multiple warnings from the park staff, telling visitors not to do this under any circumstances. The woman, who was in the tiger enclosure, was attacked by one of the animals and dragged off camera in the blink of an eye. The worst part is that this woman actually survived. Despite the staff arriving within seconds to save her, her family was quicker. Her husband got out of the car next, and then the woman's mother rushed to help as well. The mother ended up sacrificing herself to save her daughter. Sadly, the staff couldn't save the grandmother, but the daughter survived after receiving treatment at the hospital. A worker had a terrifying scare in a cafe in Nanjing, China, when a wild boar suddenly barged into the establishment. The animal came out of nowhere, charging wildly while the woman, who was alone at the time, tried to escape, screaming. Security cameras caught it all. The boar rampaged down the hallway, knocking over everything in its path. When it spotted the woman, it charged at her, but thankfully she managed to jump over the counter to escape. Even worse, the boar also jumped over the counter, but at that point, it seemed more scared than aggressive. Instead of attacking, it fled through the cafe's door. Everything was left destroyed by the ferocity of the animal. Shockingly, this wasn't the first or likely the last time something like this happened in the city. Since it's somewhat rural, animals occasionally get lost and end up in shops or factories. Luckily, no one was hurt in this incident, not even the boar, which was later sedated by authorities and released back into the wild. Frank Cuesta, a well-known wildlife presenter in Spain, had a near-death experience when he came face-to-face with a deer during a live broadcast on his social media. Frank spotted a small group of deer and, fearless, approached them. 3 of the smaller ones ran off, but the biggest, a male deer with huge antlers, decided to stand his ground. Within seconds, the deer charged straight at Frank, knocking him backward into a nearby shed. The impact was intense, but the worst part was that the deer didn't back down. What followed was a harrowing 4-minute struggle for survival as the viewers watched in horror, bracing for a tragedy. Frank desperately tried to grab hold of the deer's antlers to prevent them from piercing his skin, but it seemed like he was losing the fight. Fortunately, after what felt like an eternity, the deer decided to retreat. Frank, visibly exhausted and with his clothes in tatters, managed to escape. Even though he was in pain and needed medical attention, he appeared on camera afterward to reassure his fans. According to Frank, his mistake was thinking the deer had an escape route, which left the animal cornered and aggressive. His experience was a sobering reminder that even the most seasoned professionals can be caught off guard by wild animals, which are always unpredictable. In India, a rogue elephant stormed into a village, wreaking havoc on the terrified locals. Many people filmed the massive animal as it rampaged, breaking everything in its path, while the villagers ran for their lives. An unlucky motorcyclist who happened to be in the elephant's way had to abandon his bike to escape. Despite being some distance away, the elephant spotted him and began a violent chase. When it wasn't chasing people, the elephant demolished the buildings in front of it. There was nothing the poor villagers could do to stop the destruction. It's believed the elephant wandered into the village from a nearby forest, likely in search of food or water. Thankfully, no one was hurt during the incident. Elephant encounters like this can easily become fatal due to the sheer size of the animal. Even accidentally, an elephant could take a human life in the blink of an eye. Now imagine the damage it can do if it's actively trying to. A massive swarm of bizarre insects, known as mayflies, invaded the city of Havana, Ohio, causing chaos among residents, who couldn't even leave their homes due to the sheer number of bugs in the streets. Although mayflies are technically mosquitoes, they look much more like dragonflies. They're large insects, and just one can scare a lot of people. Now imagine an entire city being invaded by them. There were so many insects covering the roads that they looked like they were blanketed by a thick layer of them. This made the roads slick, causing accidents and forcing authorities to shut down traffic. The mayflies, which only live for a few hours, blanketed a bridge with a 15-centimeter, 6-inch thick layer of goo after being crushed by vehicles. According to the police, several motorcyclists lost control of their bikes due to the slippery mess left behind. The only small consolation is that, despite their scary appearance, mayflies pose no harm to humans. They don't carry dangerous diseases, nor are they venomous. However, the sheer volume of these insects caused its own set of dangerous problems. Don't forget to subscribe for more videos like this.